right, I'm going to lower your mics for a minute, and you guys are going to disappear, but then I'll bring you back as Grant is doing the introduction.
Okay. Thank God we've got the string. It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you. Because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar today, we're at the fabulous Wayfare on Ferret Street, and as you probably know by now, if you've ever heard the show during the summer, Wayfare is the home of Not Your Mama's Frosé, which is spelled F-R-O-S-E with a thing over the top of it. It's a French word, and it's a perfect summer drink made with dry rosé, vodka, Saint-Germain, Peychaud's bitters, lemon juice, and a house-made strawberry basil syrup. In fact, Thomas, who is our technical director, already had one and spilled it over the equipment today. How much did you rescue before it all spilled?
It was worth every drop.
You rescued most of it, right?
Even on my professional compromise.
All right. So, everybody, welcome to Happy Hour. Rachel Dangermond is here, a return guest from... When was the last time you were on Happy Hour, Rachel?
Years.
It was years ago when we were still at Casa Borrega.
Yes.
And you brought your son with you, Tin.
Yes.
Spelled T-I-N.
Yes.
Who's come back with you today.
Yes, he is.
And how old was he then? That will give us a clue as to how long ago that was.
I think he was about 6 or something like that.
And now he's 20.
10.
Oh, he's 10.
Going on 40.
So that was about 4 years ago. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
Good to be back.
And Aaron Ben, you say that?
I said I'll get it to you as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. So what happened?
I don't know, man. I've got a lot going on. I had work and...
What are you working on besides being a superstar?
Well, I actually, I love giving food tours in the city, both in the Lower Garden District and in the French Quarter, taking people to new restaurants and sort of giving them a ideal New Orleans culinary experience.
You do this out of the goodness of your heart?
No, this is something that I've been doing.
They pay you?
Yeah.
Okay. How do people find you?
Well, I do that through a company called Sidewalk Food Tours.
Okay.
And yeah, it's something I just started doing, but I really enjoy it because, I mean, so much of what I love about New Orleans is the food. And
well, that goes for almost everybody here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when I have friends come and visit me from out of town, you know, it's basically just we run the gamut of restaurants and seeing music at night.
Yeah, but me too. So how did you get this job? Could I go get one?
I'm sure you could.
Really?
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
does it pay? What do you get paid to take people around to restaurants?
Oh, man,
Do you get kickbacks from restaurants?
Yeah. Well, no, I get paid from the company, and then I
Right.
get paid from the guests on the tour.
Okay.
And I'll leave the amount.
All right, well, we won't have to have a real dollar amount, but you get kickbacks from restaurants? You take them to particular restaurants and they don't? I'll be the only tour guide in America that doesn't get a kickback. Or the world, actually, I would say. And listen, Kenny Bellau is here as well. Kenny, good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Do you guys know who Kenny Bellau is? He's an actual hero.
No.
Yes. Not just a sort of a hero who plays a hero in the movies or a guy who you call a hero like, you know, your dad. There's an actual hero who rescued over 400 people after Hurricane Katrina in a boat.
Wow.
You remember that boat that was outside on Jackson Square and outside the museum? That was Kenny's boat that became part of the national...
I didn't know you knew all that.
I knew it all because I Googled your name. It's the first thing that comes up.
Okay.
What would you like to come up first?
Well, that's a pretty good one. Yeah.
It
the
is?
boat. Yeah, the boat's pretty good.
So you're
it's
a
something.
real...
It's something that it was a marker. You know, a good signpost in my life.
That was a major life-changing event, I would think.
Yeah. It changed my life 180 degrees. It put me on a path that I didn't know I was going to be on. You know, some dark times after that, of course. But
what path were you on before that? You were already a sort of a superhero.
so I think most people would describe me as a Renaissance man, and that's kind of a flashy way to say that I've been fired from every job I've ever had. But I've worked in every industry. I've worked, in the oil industry, in the restaurant industry. I was a CCIM in commercial real estate.
CCIM, what does that stand for?
Certified Commercial Investment Member.
Oh, so you're a real estate agent?
I was.
Commercial.
Yeah.
You have done everything.
Yeah, and you name it. All that was to supplement my bicycle racing career. And so I spent, since I was 18, I've been racing at the highest level I could get to. I came up through the 90s racing against all those famous names that had to make confessions over the last several years.
About doping?
And about doping, yeah. And, I raced against all those guys, and I sleep well at night.
Do you race against Lance Armstrong?
Yeah.
Did you ever beat him?
There's somebody had sent me a result a while ago that several years ago where my name was in front of Lance's, but I think it was just the start list.
Alphabetical.
It was, yeah, but he's A and I'm B, but I believe it was just the start list. But Lance was real jerky.
Did you know that he was? Did everybody in the bicycle world know that he was cheating?
Well, we heard it really early on. That he was. We heard it like really early, like when he was 17. When he was 17, his mother had gone to New York and got him an agent, and he had Wall Street money coming his way when he was a teenager. He was bigger than big, just because of his attitude and his brashness and all. Anyway, from all his confessions and all that, we've learned a lot more. Back then, it was just speculation. He would come to the race, and we would all be signing our name on the paper, the waivers, and he would stand on a chair and look around and say, "I'll beat all these guys by 2 minutes," and he'd beat us by 3. And he would do that, as we were registering.
And you thought that was just confidence at the time, or?
Well, I didn't like him. I didn't like him because of it.
Did anyone like him?
Not really. No, he was. He was always like that. It was. You heard a lot of from his teammates. You heard a lot. Well, he's an asshole, but he's my asshole.
Right.
And a lot of teams had somebody like that. And
what sort of teams are you on this thing? Is it like?
I was on a regional team here based in Mississippi and Louisiana called Herring Gas, and
it's got the word gas in it.
Yeah. Herring gas.
Herring gas.
Yeah, herring, like the bird.
And is this a gas company?
A gas company, and it was a marketing scheme for this company to just have their name out there. Bicycle racing, it was very innocent back then. It was very grassroots. And
did Herring Gas pay you, or did you have to?
The Herring Gas paid the team, and then the team paid for pretty much everything.
Would you say you would have made more money than a food tour guide? Or about the same?
I do. One of the many things of being a Renaissance man, I do bicycle tours.
You do?
Yeah.
Have you come across the bicycle tours, Aaron?
Well, I see the pedicabs all the time.
Yeah.
I have friends that do or used to be pedicabs. It's a pretty.
Well, that would be a bit of a come down from being an international cycling champion to a pedicab.
My tours. So I've had one time one of the big river boats. This group had rented out an entire paddle wheeler. The American Queen, maybe.
Okay, Creole Queen.
The Creole Queen. They came down from Memphis, and so we met them. My wife and I met them at the dock, and we had 200 tandems, so 400 people on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. And we no police protection or anything. We brought them down to the ninth ward, and
that?
Yeah.
Where did you find 200 tandems?
I didn't. They found me. They said, "We're coming to New Orleans, and we'd like somebody." And they just Googled New Orleans cyclist, and my name popped up. And the guy asked me, "Hey, can you give us a tour?" And I said, "Sure." Wow. So I took them on a little quick Katrina tour, but it was 400 people on 200 bikes, and it was chaos.
That's interesting because that's the same number of people you rescued allegedly from.
Oh yeah.
One for each. And
4 is my lucky number.
4 is your lucky number?
Oh, yeah?
Really? Well, how'd you come to 4, Rachel?
I don't know. It just came to me.
How did it come to you, though? Were you born on the 4th, or?
No, I was actually born on the 2nd.
So double.
Double, my birthday.
2nd of what?
Yeah. May.
2nd of May, okay.
I'm a Jazz Fest baby.
There you go.
So how did you get 4 as a lucky number?
I don't know. It's always just stuck with me. It's my
Has
lucky
it,
number.
And does it work?
If I make it work, yeah.
Okay.
I have to make it work.
How do you make luck work? Because that would be a handy thing to know.
I think that you look for an opportunity and you say, wow, that's a 4. and 4 is my lucky number. So this works.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So it's selective, is what you're
It's
saying.
selective
It's not
luck,
really,
yes,
It's
right.
not really working. So I see you have a Booker Fest
Yes.
T-shirt on, which is
Absolutely.
awesome, which has got
Yeah.
James Booker's
My-
face on it.
yeah.
And you're the organizer of Booker Fest,
Yeah.
as
yeah,
I understand it.
yeah. Since I last saw you years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years. Right? Okay. So.
That
4
was the last time I saw you. I think I
was
thought
true.
I'd seen you on the street at one point.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
But other than that,
Right. 4 years
you've been
ago.
gone. Yeah.
Remember, I was doing all sorts of stuff. I'm a
You were working
writer.
for Mayor Landrieu.
I was working
or
for Mayor
something.
Landrieu. I was doing a lot of facilitation
Hard
around
to
race and
remember
equity.
that Mayor Landrieu's name
Yeah,
even.
right,
Yeah, what
exactly.
were you doing for him?
I was facilitating conversations in the community on race and equity, and I was writing a lot about race and equity and transracial parenting and stuff like that.
All right.
And then I, a year ago, went to Mississippi and bought an African American landmark, an historic music venue, and I
That's a
opened.
kind of sentence you don't hear that often.
And it's one of the few standing buildings on the Mississippi Blues Trail. And
What's it called? The 100
100-Man Hall.
100-Man Hall. That's a sort of a weird sentence. I went to Mississippi and bought an African American landmark. Well, first of all, why did you go to Mississippi in the first place?
Well, I was going to Bay St. Louis a lot because a friend of mine had a house there. And he would say, why don't you intend to go use the house this weekend? I'm not using it. You know, you'll go to the beach. So we'd do that. And then I had writers groups meeting at my house. And so I'd bring the writers over there. We'd do writers
So you
retreats.
take a bunch of writers to this guy's house.
Yeah.
His beach house in Mississippi. That's a nice,
Yeah.
nice thing to
So
do.
it was fun. And so then
do
I
you think
thought,
of the beach there?
I said, I
It's-
want to live here. And so I called my
You
friend,
did?
and she said, of course you want to live there. It's the beach. Everyone wants to live on the beach, but that's not real life. And I said, no, I really want to live here. And I wanted to do writers' workshops, and a friend sent me the link to this blues hall that was for sale. And so I walked in one day, and I said, this is what I want to do. And so I bought it, but I had no idea what was going on with that place.
Did you have a commercial real estate agent like Kenny hook you up?
I didn't. I had a friend, and he didn't believe what I was doing. He just thought, okay, Rachel, wants to do this. And
Seems like a crazy thing to do.
It was a
and
crazy-
Probably not a good investment, was it?
right, none of that. But it has been the greatest adventure of my life. It brings all of my skills together. So I have a writer's workshop once a month, and then I run the nonprofit that was started in 1895 associated with the hall. So, and we do music events, and we do community events, and we have everything. So
Nothing sounds more boring than a writer's workshop.
Oh, please.
What
It
is that?
not. When
What-
you
what
have
happens?
it's a memoir writing workshop, right? So you come in and you spill your darkest secrets, and suddenly I
What?
know a grant that I never knew before
Why would anyone do that?
because you're just compelled to.
It's like AA or something.
It's better than AA.
What goes on? So people get up and say, "My name's Grant. I'm a writer," and then
No.
Then I tell you-
I kind of like kind of massage the crowd, and then I give you a topic, and then you go write on it, and then we all come back and we read what we wrote.
this is on the
and
same
be
day, on the same
surprised.
night.
At the same time,
Right. So you say, "We will get there." What time of the day is this happening?
1 to 5 every fourth Saturday.
1 to 5 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Okay. So I get there 1 o'clock, and you say, "Today's subject is what was last week's subject?" For example?
Change.
Change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how many people would be there? Say all of us.
All of y'all would be here.
Okay.
I'm also
Okay,
a
and-
writer.
All right,
You're a
and
writer as
so-
well. What do you write, Kenny?
So about my Katrina story, I'm, well into the manuscript for a book, but it's the story was so depressing, I just kept putting it down. So, but yeah, I could use somebody like you.
But like, so Kenny, you'd show up, and I'd say we're going to write about change. You'd spend an hour just writing, stream of consciousness. You'd come back and read what you wrote, and you would surprise yourself about what you were talking about. Maybe your Katrina stuff would be coming up. Maybe it'd be something that just happened. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
We read what we've written, and then
Okay.
we write again, and we do it again. Yeah, it's great.
So
It-
everyone reads how many people are going to this thing?
I only let 10 people come to the
Okay.
class at a time.
So there's 10 people.
Right.
And everyone reads what they wrote. And then is it published ever?
It could be. I mean, I published. I wrote a continuous series of essays called "I Didn't Know How to Be the Mother of a Black Son."
Well, yeah, that was a
And-
blog I remember reading.
That
wasn't
wasn't
it?
a blog. I had
wasn't.
a
It was a
blog,
different
but that was a series of essays that I wrote that became one essay, and that was through this kind of writing.
Okay.
It's just it's like going to exercise class. You know, you're just working that muscle, working it. And so then when you go home and you're working on your book, you're like, whoa, something came up in that, and I can use that.
So, are these people who are all living in Mississippi and Bay St. Louis?
No, there's people from New
come
Orleans.
from all over.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So people come from New Orleans especially for this.
Yeah, or any of the events that we have.
What else do you do? He's like,
What else do we do?
is it like
okay,
music? Is it a music venue?
Okay, so the 100-Man Hall is a, like I said, it's a landmark. And so we run I run it through a nonprofit, right? And so we continue the sacred act of presenting live music because we had in our hall James Brown, Ray Charles, Etta James, B.B. King, Guitar Slim, Sam Cooke, Ernie Cato, Professor Longhair, and none other than James Booker.
Booker.
And we had Irma Thomas, Deacon John, lots of, we were, let me put it like this. They built the hall because they were a benevolent association in the African American community in 1895. As you know, there was Jim Crow and segregation, and they created an organization, a nonprofit, to take care of their own. So they had a self-insurance for medical and burial reasons, and they started having picnics and giving performances to raise money for their kitty. And then they built a pavilion, and then somebody said, let's build a hall. They built a hall in 1922, and it happened to coincide when there was this burgeoning sound. This American sound was just coming up, which was jazz, R&B, blues. And in Bay St. Louis, it was jump blues, which was much more associated with New Orleans sound than the Delta or Hill Country blues.
What was the racial divide like?
It was
in Bay St.
black.
Louis? Were there lots of black people or hardly any black people?
No, there was a good amount of black people. It was a majority white, but there was a lot of black people in there. I mean, obviously Camille and Katrina has hurt that population like everywhere else.
So back in those, this is 1922.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't go to,
Couldn't
there
go
was
to-
separate black and white.
Right. All of the people who
Venues.
came
So
to
if
the
you
100-Man
wanted to-
Hall could not go to a white establishment. They couldn't eat in a white restaurant.
Okay,
They
so
couldn't get insurance
if you were a
from white
black
company.
artist, could you play in a white
No,
establishment?
you cannot.
So no white people ever saw black musicians.
Hardly ever. Hardly ever. There were a few white people that came to the hall. That's very rare. A lot of white people in Bay St. Louis didn't even know the 100-Man Hall was there, even though it's right in the historic district. They didn't even understand what was going on.
So question,
Yeah.
is this venue part of like the Chitlin circuit?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's on the Chitlin circuit. Yeah.
Is it kind of is reminiscent to me of the Dewdrop Inn here
Absolutely.
in New Orleans?
Right. Well, actually, what happened was, we were getting these travelers, these black musicians traveling through the South, but as New Orleans became to be more of a hub, at the Dewdrop Inn, the guy would come out and he'd go, okay, I need a drummer, I need a bass player, and I need a guitar player. I need y'all to get to the 100-Man Hall for 10 o'clock. You got a show tonight. And so we were on that same circuit. And actually, when the big acts would play New Orleans, they'd come over and they got very popular for their Monday dances. But it was more than that. It was like the Dewdrop Inn, right? A music venue, seeing incomparable musical genius there, right?
Hotel.
Right. But it was more than that. It became an energy center for black life in that area. If you were black, you went there for all of your entertainment, for your social life, for your community activism, for everything. So if I'm like a 10-year-old kid, I'd walk in there and I'd see my parents, my grandparents. I hear all sorts of stories. I go through town and somebody at a grocery store will say, oh my God, I climbed in through the men's bathroom back there because I wasn't allowed in. I was too young. And I heard Etta James, or, I came in under my brother's legs. And, everybody was they were clamoring to get in. So it was a very...
Are you the first white person to have owned this?
No. In 1982, the organization called the 100 Members Debating Benevolent Association, which is the name of the nonprofit these men started in 1894. That nonprofit went until 1982, and they sold it for the first time. It changed from black to white hands, and it was bought by the Disabled Veterans of America, and they did bingo and all sorts of stuff like that. And then a couple from Georgia bought it, and they were going to make an art gallery out of it. And then Katrina hit, and there was a right of entry where FEMA could tear it down. There happened to be a California couple living there, and he was a musician and a historical renovator, and he freaked out when he saw that they were going to destroy it. And he called the Georgia couple and asked if he could buy it from them. And when he did, they found out from the state that nonprofit originally started in 1894 was in existence, in good standing. So it was a 501c3, and that's what runs the hall today. It was
What
crazy.
a wacky story.
It's a wacky
So
story.
do you actually own the property?
Yes, I do. I live in it.
you live there?
The last
Oh, my
couple who did this, they got it and they renovated it. They opened it in 2012. Deacon John came out for the opening, and they built on a 2-bedroom apartment to the back of the hall. And so that's how I was able to sell my house here in New Orleans, and my son and I moved there.
You live in Mississippi.
Live in
Okay.
Mississippi, yeah.
Do you book white musicians or only black musicians?
I do both.
You do both?
Mm-hmm.
Any
And we
chance
have-
you could book Aaron Benjamin?
Sure.
Would you
I
like?
do.
Would you like to hear him play something
Absolutely.
as an
Let's
audition?
I'd love to.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
What do you
let's hear
think?
it.
You could
Yeah.
do an audition now. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get a beer.
You want to get a beer? Yeah.
Do they
actually,
bring me
maybe
one, or?
Yeah.
Jill can get you a beer. Our photographer
I don't know.
doubles as a waitress.
I think I'm going to take off my headphones for this.
Okay. So listen, Aaron, tell us something, because if people don't know who you are,
Yeah.
how would you describe your music? I've got my description. What's yours?
I would say it's a combination of a lot of influences pre and post moving to New Orleans.
Okay.
So growing up, it was hugely influenced by classic rock and roll and also Motown. I'm from Detroit, and so hugely influenced by Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, but also equally influenced by Zeppelin and The Who and the Stones. I sort of did grow up on New Orleans music in a way, but not really identifying it with New Orleans so much as just music that my dad introduced me to. So like the Meters and the Neville Brothers. But it wasn't until I moved to New Orleans that brass bands really came into the equation.
What made you move here?
Well, I was deciding where to go to school is the situation that I was in, and I was basically choosing between the University of Michigan and Tulane.
Was it food-based at that point?
It was not food.
Nothing.
Well, it kind of partially was. I mean, just my entire experience in New Orleans just blew me away, and I
Had
actually,
you been here before you moved here?
well, I had visited with my dad,
Okay.
who also went to Tulane, and so he
okay.
got to show me New Orleans, and it was a very cool experience for him to show me New Orleans for the first time.
Did you find out something about your dad that you didn't know when he took you?
I mean, it actually really just added clarity to my understanding of him already. I grew up and my parents would go to Jazz Fest every year and leave me at home with like grandparents, and now I understand why they didn't want to take me and my sister, and they'd have a weekend in New Orleans and do their
Right.
thing. But yeah, I was blown away the first time I came to New Orleans, and I actually got my acceptance letter to the University of Michigan via email my first morning in New Orleans. So I started the day like, this is incredible. This has sort of been a huge goal of mine my entire life. I grew up in Michigan, so getting into Michigan, that was like the plan,
Right.
And so I started the day like, I don't even need to do a campus tour because like I'm going to Michigan. I'm just here on vacation, And throughout the course of the day, I mean, we ate incredible food. We went to Camellia Grill. We went to Giacomo's for dinner, and
Did you start drinking early in the day?
it's so funny because like I didn't drink that much in high school, but my dad was like getting me beers. Like the whole experience felt very coming of age, like the
Right.
entire thing.
This was one day.
One. I mean,
This
it was
would be
2
a
days.
good story for,
Yeah, it was 2 days.
for your writing workshop.
Well, it's funny. Shit. See, this isn't the song I was gonna play, but I wrote a song very soon after called "Good Morning New Orleans," which was sort of.
Are you going to play that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Yes,
I have to
you
now,
have to
you
play
know.
the song.
I guess
That's
I
a
have
great
no
song.
choice.
Okay.
I'm always resistant to playing it because I've been playing it for so long, I mean, I wrote that when I moved here. I was 18 years old, but it is a meaningful song, and I guess given the context of everything that I
Well,
just
that's the trouble with being a musician, though, isn't it? You write something like a great song, and you have to keep on playing it.
right.
all
I
the
mean,
time.
our
Is it
our
driving you
t-shirts
crazy already?
say "Good Morning New Orleans" too. So I
Are you
gotta
already,
keep
are
playing
you
the
already
song.
sick of the song already?
In a way, but I mean, it's a sort of nostalgia also. So like, I'm sick of it in the same way that like you would get sick of like one of
Freebird.
your mom,
Your wife.
in like one of your mom's favorite dishes. If you're having it every week as a kid, you're like,
Right.
I'm sick of this, but then. You move away and then you crave that dish. Just like a similar.
How do you deal with that, though? I mean, you look at these bands that go on and on and on, like the Rolling Stones or James Taylor. I heard James Taylor playing Carolina in my mind the other night.
Right.
I'm like, wow, how many times must
And
I
by the way, I
play
think James
this?
Taylor is one of the greatest songwriters to ever live. I mean, he's. I was on tour alone, like a solo acoustic tour, and I was driving in my car through Mississippi, and I swear to God, I could show you this on my phone. I was making notes on my phone, essentially outlining an essay for why James Taylor is the greatest songwriter of all time. And I was like formulating these arguments in my mind. So that's funny that you mentioned that, because he plays Carolina in my mind every night of his life, right?
Yeah,
For like
and it still
30
sounds
years.
beautiful, and it sounds like he
Of
really
course.
loves playing it.
Of course, because when you write
What's the
a
secret?
song, well, I don't know what the secret is, but I know that with James Taylor, James Taylor's whole thing is that he's capturing imagery in his writing. He's painting pictures that you can visualize in your head. I think a great example of this song, it's a song that I fell asleep to as a little kid, and I would have my parents come into my bedroom and switch the tape, but like Sweet Baby James,
Right.
Every song, the first verse, there is a young cowboy who lives on the range, his horse and his cattle are his only companions. You're imagining this. The second verse, or like think about the chorus, sweet, deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. The second verse, the 1st of September was covered with snow, so was the turnpike. He's just painting pictures in your mind. And that's why his work is timeless, and he can play a song every single night, because there's nothing unpleasant about that picture that he's painting. And there's,
that's interesting.
I mean, that, for a
That's
listener.
the secret of the longevity of his music, is that it's all nice?
Well, no, because, he's talking about pain, too. Fire and Rain is as tragic of a song as can exist, right? But he's creating an image that's accessible for everyone. Regardless of your own position and understanding of the song, he's making an image that you can connect to. He's a storyteller. Right,
and
absolutely.
everybody loves
and
stories.
that's something I strive for in my writing, absolutely. Yeah, that's something I've grown up on.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good introduction to the song Good Morning New Orleans.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to, well, here, how's this sound in the headphones?
Hit it.
Oh. Now I'm going to take off my headphones. I feel a little detached from y'all now, but... Oh, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about what I want and what I got. The world's been real good to me so far. But to say that I'm satisfied ain't right. When I'm lying awake in the middle of the night, I see myself waking up in a town where I can change the world with this guitar. So good morning, New Orleans. Sun is smiling on your face, would you mind saying a little place for me? I don't know it, but I can feel it in my bones. This Crescent City is the place I gotta be, so set me free. Hey, hey, what's that you say? Gonna put me on an airplane and fly far away another day. Think about the life I left behind. Yeah, when I touch down, I'm gonna head downtown and introduce me to the streets that are all mine now, and hear the sound of a city's heart that beats. Oh, in perfect time, we're gonna do Orleans. The sun is smiling on your face, and would you mind staying a little place for me? I don't know it, but I can feel it in my bones. This Crescent City is the place I gotta be, so set me free. They say that New York is the center of it all. They say Los Angeles is where the dreamers are. They say Detroit is where your heart and soul belong. Give me 2 days in this city, and I'll give you a song called Good Morning New Orleans. The sun is smiling on your face. Would you mind saving a little place for me? Whoa, I don't know it, but I can feel it in my bones. This Crescent City is the place I gotta be, so set me free. Good morning, New Orleans. Or should I say good night? 'Cause
when the sun goes down on that street downtown. Oh, everything's alright in the morning, New Orleans. The sun is smiling on your face. With your messy little place for me. Whoa, I don't know it, but I can feel it in my bones. This Crescent City is the place I gotta be. So set me free, New Orleans. Orleans, set me free. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, tell me you weren't shocked when he started singing that.
I was shocked. 'cause I
really,
didn't hear the
really
voice
enjoyed
before.
that.
That's
That was
beautiful.
really good.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
You weren't expecting that.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
was.
not
That was
expecting.
really good.
Not that I wasn't not expecting.
I
it,
literally
just-
came in here today. I'm like, I'm gonna play any song other
Any
than Good
song
Morning,
like
New
that?
Orleans.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Jinx.
That was
No,
a
you're
love
welcome.
a love letter to New Orleans. That was
Absolutely,
really
absolutely,
good.
and that's
Not only is it a great song, but you. Here's Graham DePonte.
Hi. It's really bold to write a song about New Orleans,
Yeah.
you know, because it can be such a cliche.
You know what's
Yeah,
funny is
that's
I
such a
wrote the
great
song before I realized that it would be bold to write a song about New Orleans. I mean,
That's
I
good.
was on an airplane writing the lyrics in my phone, you know. And the song is, I mean, it's like,
So is
Yeah, that's
Cardi
why it's
B.
hard to
Cardi B
play.
wrote.
You have a girlfriend?
no, I did not.
That's how you get one. Right there.
Not only is it a beautiful song, but you have a beautiful voice.
You do.
Yeah,
You
it's-
have
That's
a
the
very
shocking
beautiful voice.
part of
Thanks.
the whole equation, isn't
And
it?
I mean, bear in mind, you know, like all these songs, and that's like sort of the pre and post New Orleans thing, like moving here, is that I write all these songs alone on my bed, but I play with an 8-9 piece band.
Right,
you know,
there's
so,
horns and
yeah, there's
that's-
horns, and it's
a whole
it's-
different thing.
It's a rock band. It's a super high energy show, and we're playing tonight. Tonight is the last night of our residency at the Maple Leaf in August.
Oh, great.
So tonight's going to be the full band. We got horns. Our trumpet player plays with Chawa, who's been having a really great summer touring all over
Chawa
the
is
country.
great.
Got Rob Kellner playing keys. He's the keyboardist in Miss Mojo.
What time's this gig, if we happen to?
It starts at 10 o'clock. We have a really great opener.
You going to take a nap between now and then, or are you
Nah, I
just going
don't
to go
think
straight
so.
through?
I don't think so.
Are you a nap person?
He just woke
Oh,
up.
I'm totally a nap person, but I'm gonna have to. I would have to run home and
slept till 3.
grab all my stuff, get it in my car, and get to the Maple.
Hey,
Leaf.
listen, we're going to take a very, very quick break here. And when we come back, I want to ask you this question. Kenny, I got this bio of yours here, and this is the sentence. Kenny retired from a bicycle racing after a serious crash in 2015 and immediately took up acting. Okay, how about that for a sentence? So we'll be right back in just a moment. And we're back on Happy Hour with Rachel Dangermond, Aaron Benjamin, and Kenny Bellau. And before the break, Kenny, I said I was going to come back and make you explain this sentence, which was Kenny retired from bicycle racing after a serious crash in 2015 and immediately took up acting, which is a strange decision. First of all, tell us about the crash.
One more mark on the bedpost of jobs that I've had.
Yeah,
acting,
but tell us about the crash. What happened? That sounds spectacular.
So there's cycling is a tough man sport. Like there's a meme on the internet where you've got these soccer players who almost get hit and they fall down and flop around, and and they say, "Oh, I'm hurt,"
Like faking
and but the soccer player is saying,
Spraying
"Oh, I'm
cold
hurt,"
stuff.
and then in cycling, the guy has crashed. He's fallen into a barbed wire fence. He's broken his collarbone, and he gets back on his bike and says, "I'm not hurt."
all right.
And
it's a real man sport.
Yeah.
cycling.
So I kind of lived like that. I always, and I ran the team like that too. You know, it was just like, I don't care if you have a flat tire. We are going to win this race. That's the attitude you have to take. We're going to get to the finish line. And
That's why we have steroids.
well, so I'm getting in the twilight of my years in racing. I'm in my 40s. The last big race I did, they introduced me as the oldest rider in the race by 10 years.
Wow.
And but this was a big local race here. It was up in St. Francisville. It's called Rouge Roubaix. And my teammate, he rides up next to me and he says, "Hey man, you're working too hard at the front. Let's come to the back. Come sit in the draft for a little bit." And we're working our way to the back, and I hit a pothole that I didn't see. My handlebars cracked, and I just landed, face first onto the asphalt with a friend of mine piling on top of me. Anyway, in 30 years of racing, I'd never broken a bone. I'd had a bunch of crashes. I'd never broken a bone, but that crash, I'd broken 2 or 3 bones in my hand and separated my labrum in my shoulder, and the guy who landed on top of me hit me in the shoulder blade, so he broke my shoulder blade in 2 places. And it was a learning experience.
Ouch.
Yeah, it stung
So
a
there's
little.
potholes in St. Francisville as well.
Oh yeah, that's the worst roads ever, and that's the reason I brought up cycling being a tough man sport. It's playing football in Soldier Field when it's snowing. That's what a lot of cycling is. The harder the course, the nastier the conditions, they're going to race, and they want to see who's first on that day. So this was that kind of race, and man, I just landed on my head. And
Did you know then that it was all over for you?
I kind of did, because I was 47 years old. I was
How old are you now?
I'm 51.
Wow.
Yeah.
You look pretty good. What's the
Surprise.
Yeah, that's shocking.
His entire face has been redone after that accident.
I have a good plastic surgeon. Yeah, no, I don't know. I try not to stress myself about things.
That's
so,
the secret. No stress.
I don't know. My grandfather lived to be
still-
101, and he still had some dark hair in his head.
Are you serious?
So,
Well, are you
yeah.
working out? Do you still stay fit?
I have a 3-year-old.
Sick of that. Oh, okay. Wow.
So that's enough.
Okay.
But to get
okay.
into acting.
So you had a crash. You realize you can't get back on the bike now, despite
Yeah.
all the heroics of the last 30 years of racing, because you finally too hurt.
Yeah.
And so you think, what else could I do? I wonder.
Well,
Could be a tour guide. Take people around restaurants in New Orleans. Could be a
could have done anything.
commercial real estate agent.
Heck
You still
yeah.
had your commercial real estate agent license?
No, I'd given up
That
before,
lapsed.
and I in between then I was buying and selling houses, so I was flipping houses on my own.
Okay.
But so anyway, the way this whole thing started, I when I was 17, my dad was a radio executive, and
In New Orleans?
In New Orleans here.
What station was he at?
WSMB.
WSMB,
Uh-huh.
1350.
1350 on
What
your
did he
old
do?
radio dial. Nuttin' Jeff. He was the sales manager, and then ended up being the general manager for a short
The
time.
general manager of WSMB.
Yeah,
All right.
AM radio in the 80s.
Yeah.
Nobody was making money. It was a sinking ship. So, but anyway, there was this advertising executive that said, your son needs to be in acting or modeling or whatever, and so I
So
followed.
you were an actor, model, whatever, back in the day, in the 80s, AMW,
when I
That's
was 17. So I went to New York to try to pursue that career.
as a model.
Yeah.
At 17 years old.
Yeah.
You left New Orleans.
Yeah.
What high school were you going to?
Brother Martin.
You were going to
Yeah.
Brother
I
Martin
had
High School?
graduated and then I left.
Okay. And you went
So-
to New York to become a model.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't work either.
What does that exactly entail? When you get off the plane and you say, hi, I'm a model in New York City?
I don't know,
you go to the
because I never
YMCA
really
or-
became one. So
Well,
it
how
was,
did you try? What was
well,
the plan?
I was hooked up with an agent here who hooked me up with an agent there, and she was sending me out on calls and stuff.
Were you super
and
good looking, or
I
what was the angle?
evidently no.
Well, what was the angle? I mean, why did they think you, of all the kids at Brother Martin, would have a career?
Well, what
as
I
a-
wanted to do was get into acting. So my dad knew this, but I was an ADD kid. They would have put me on Ritalin had it existed in 1986, and because I just couldn't pay attention to anything. So my dad
Were you
was
smoking weed?
No, I've never touched a drug in my life. So
Oh, today could be the day, because Aaron happens. Is that right?
I
You-
was a
love that
contra- I was
assumption that you're
I used to build houses, so and somebody was very surprised that I didn't smoke weed, but
Especially
anyway.
if you had ADD back in the day before there was.
I don't know, man. Bikers
Riddle.
though, that's an intense deal. Bikers, swimmers, runners. That's just such a daily grind. Like
It's a
I do
grind.
understand never touching anything, because
Yeah,
Once you're
you
on
just
that.
well, you're
Scares you. Yeah.
you're terrified of what it's going to do to you,
Right.
and what's going to be the adverse effects when you stop. For this weekend, I'm going to stop for a couple of weeks. I'm going to die. So, but anyway,
So who was your agent in New York?
this lady named Carol Conover, and
So what did you know
yeah.
her? Conover right there is a bit risky.
Conover.
And did she tell you I'm going to make you a millionaire? And you're going to be on the cover
no.
of
She
GQ?
told me. She said you need to go back home and go to LSU and enroll in acting classes, and then you're gonna do something with yourself. And so I followed that advice, went to LSU, but we were so broke at the time. I rode my bike from New Orleans to LSU, and I did that every other weekend or so.
Wait. You rode from New Orleans to Baton Rouge
Yeah.
for class.
Not every day, but every other week or so, I'd come home on my bike, with a backpack.
I remember the half-mile ride from my 2-lane apartment to Newcomb Hall feeling like a marathon on Monday mornings.
Yeah.
That was because you
It's an hour and a half
You were
drive.
preserving
How long
your
of a bike?
voice, right?
How long of a bike ride is
where
that?
we lived
an hour and a half drive?
Where we lived in we lived in New Orleans East, so it was about 125, 130 miles.
Holy shit.
Yeah, something like that.
just going from New Orleans east to the other side of New Orleans to get on. So how do you do it on River Road?
River Road, yeah, because
Just show up to
Airline
class,
Highway was just full of 18-wheelers.
And you're just
all.
showing up to class like
So, yeah, and I was-
sweating
just
in
wiped
a yellow,
out,
tight
and
spandex biker costume, you know?
in awful condition too, just hungry, dehydrated,
How long would this trip take?
unable to pay attention. 135 miles by yourself is a good 7 or 8 hours. It's all day.
Okay.
It's an all-day event. And I tore my Achilles tendon
Each
doing
way.
that one time. Yeah, each way. Yeah.
And you do it
I
both
wouldn't
in
come
day.
home. I wouldn't come home on Saturday and leave Saturday evening. I would come home on Friday or Saturday and then go up Sunday morning. Yeah.
And this is because you were so poor that you couldn't even afford to
No,
go on the
I
bus?
really liked riding a bike.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, really like riding.
Okay, so
and
it was-
so I got really good at it really fast, and then I ended up on this team. And the whole time I was thinking, I really want to be an actor. And then next thing you know,
Are you
I
serious?
was
They're thinking the whole time that you're riding a bicycle from New
I was-
Orleans
you
east
know,
to Baton Rouge, and the back of your mind's going over and over, I wish I was an actor.
Yeah. And then I ended up in Europe racing over there, and then I
I'm
ended
still
up on
thinking I wish I was an actor all
the whole time.
Yeah.
And then I was
pedals
on-
are going around and around and around instead of thinking, yes, I know I can. You're thinking, I want to be an actor.
Yeah. Well, in
Are you
cycling.
saying yes to that, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
In cycling, there's a lot of, you have a second job because it doesn't pay very well. So I kept thinking, I didn't have an avenue to get into acting, but it was always in the back of my mind. And next thing you know, I'm 40. I'm in my 40s, getting introduced as the oldest guy in the field, and my wife, my girlfriend at the time, So my dad told me one time, if you don't figure out what you want to be in life, you're going to be, 20 years behind all your friends. And
was he still a salesperson at an AM radio station?
Yeah. And so I got married at 46. I had a baby at 48. So I'm 20 years behind everybody and everything. So and I got into acting at 49, 50. And
How did you break into acting at 50 years old? Most people are getting out at 50 saying there's no roles because I'm too old.
My lovely and brilliant wife is she's a heck of a salesperson herself. She's an accountant, and one of her clients is an acting coach, Armand Duke, and he's a brilliant guy. He could quote stuff out of books you've never heard of, and just run the whole paragraph, And so I started taking his acting classes, and just getting beaten down by him, every week. And acting coaches are rough because they dig. I mean, they're worse than a psychiatrist. I mean, they really.
They're trying to make you feel bad, or
They're
trying to make you get in
cry.
touch with your
they're trying to make you
emotions?
get in touch. And from him, he got me in touch with this young, smart director named Paul Dale, who put me in a commercial, and then I was in a couple other commercials.
What
and
commercial were you in?
The Bobby Heber's commercial. I say Bobby Heber's. If when it's my night to cook, I go to Bobby Heber's. So I poured on the New Orleans accent. Something my dad hated. He hated the New Orleans accent. So
Are you the voice on the radio ads too?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard a radio ad. I might be.
Do you get residuals for this?
No.
or- No, you just get paid one time to go and do the thing.
Oh, yeah. This is
Well,
New
you've been
Orleans.
ripped off
We're
there.
talking about
Do you have an
residuals.
agent now?
There's no New Orleans. There's
Really?
no residuals in New Orleans.
Okay.
No. Not for anything.
Okay, so
hardly.
you're doing a commercial. You did this commercial for Bobby Heber's, which is what exactly? A restaurant?
Yeah, it's a
Cajun
Bobby
Cannon.
a Cajun Cannon,
All right.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the director of that commercial, about a year later, he writes me and says, "Man, I wrote this movie and with you in mind as the lead. I said, well, what's the lead? He goes, well, he's kind of like a 50-year-old loser. I'm like, excuse me?
Nice. It's
Nice.
a double-edged sword there. Yeah, okay.
So I didn't
someone-
have to audition or anything for it.
He
so,
wrote a movie for you on the basis of one commercial you did
I
for
guess
him.
so. He said
Okay.
you're perfect for this. I don't want to find anybody else. You're the one I want. And yeah, I've never heard that from a woman.
And were you nervous when someone told you finally your dream could come true and you could be an actor in a movie?
I wasn't nervous at all until our first scene. We filmed a lot of this in Slim Goodies at night, and
It's a diner on Magazine Street.
yeah. So this is a young actor. He's in his 20s. A young director. He's in his 20s, but he hired like serious hitters for actors, and these actors came in with their A game. And the first scene I watched, I was like, I am out of my league. I don't know what I'm doing here. I had to call my buddy Armando, the coach, and he's like, you got this. You're okay. You're gonna be okay, dude. It's gonna be okay. And so
was it okay?
it was okay. Yeah. This was a tough role because this is a movie with no dialogue in it.
What?
It's got no dialogue in it. It's got no words in it. It's
We should try doing
somewhat
a podcast
artsy.
like
Yeah.
There's no dialogue at all. You just have
So
We
we're
can
telling the
mime.
story, almost miming, yeah. But it's Dog Day afternoon in a diner. I'm the bad guy. I shoot up everybody. But so the acting is all in your face. It's all. So
Okay.
I can't
Is
ask.
this a
Did
feature-length?
I do that line wrong? Did
Is
I
this a
say something?
feature-length movie?
Yeah. It's.
So you don't have to
59
remember
minutes
any
long.
lines. You just show up and
Kill people.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Just-
showed up and killed people.
you,
yeah.
you slit anyone's throat or
I do.
shoot them in the
I do.
oh, nice.
Actually, I do. yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A police officer. Yeah. I'm the baddest of the bad guys.
What
so.
an interesting decision to write a screenplay with no dialogue.
Someone
What was he
told Paul Dale that they didn't like his last movie because of the dialogue. So he said, "I'll
There's-
fix you."
Ah.
Anyway, we're
He
sitting
got
at
his own back. Okay.
we're sitting at 4 stars on Amazon. And,
Are you kidding? Okay, so can we watch
yeah,
this?
you can watch it now. It's
What's
called
it-
Fast Food and Cigarettes. It's on
Fast
Amazon.
food, write that down.
And
Rachel,
iTunes.
fast food and cigarettes.
And Paul Dale,
Okay.
this is
Oh, here it is, right.
this is a showcase for Paul. Paul
Okay.
was
and
a
you, by
one-man
the sound
show.
of it, if you're the star of this movie,
Well, I hope so.
and you don't get to have to speak at all. Hey, Aaron, we've got time for another song. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay.
You know anything by James Booker?
Oh,
I don't.
we have
you
to.
know,
That's
I
what we.
did-
After
I
the
did-
song, we're talking
I did
about
watch
Booker
that
Fest.
documentary.
You did. You're the Bar You Up Maharaja?
Yeah.
We're showing that Friday night for Booker Fest. That's how we're starting Booker
It's
Fest.
such an amazing.
Isn't
well
it?
done
Lily Keever is
film.
so
Hey, hang on.
fabulous.
Booker Fest is this coming weekend.
It's Friday.
Okay, so
We're
let's
opening on
just
Friday.
actually mention the date for anyone who happens to be listening to this
Yeah. So
before.
Okay, Friday, August 30th starts Booker Fest. But first,
I hate to say this, but this is Friday, August 30th, 2019. If you happen to be
Sorry,
listening to this in the future
2019.
somewhere, you've missed it. But
come to Bay St. Louis. First thing you're going to do is you're going to hit Smith and Lens. They have a gallery show of women of color. Then you're going to walk over to the hall and you're going to see Bayou Maharaja. And we're going to be making po' boys. Chef Chris with the smoking oyster is going to do that. And that begins Booker Fest, which the big thing, too, not only is it James Booker that we're honoring, he grew up in Bay St. Louis, but we're going to have primitive camping on site at the 100-Man Hall.
Hey,
and it's the
nothing
first
better.
time they've had camping in historic Bay St. Louis. So
how primitive is it?
tents.
Do you have like a hole in the ground for a toilet? Or
Now we got a toilet.
actually have an actual bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And then August
James Booker
31st
is
is
from-
all day.
okay, but James Booker is from Bay St. Louis. That
He
I
was
did not know.
born in New Orleans, but he was raised in Bay St. Louis, and he
Okay.
also actually went to school there, and he sang with the St. Rose Gospel Choir. I mean, he played with them, and we actually have the St. Rose Gospel Choir is going to do our Saturday morning opening.
So tell us what, just briefly, we'll get to the song right now,
Sorry
Aaron.
about
But
that.
what exactly is Booker? Is it all piano players all weekend or
Okay,
what?
so look, Booker Fest is, we were trying to, I bought the hall. We've had our music. We do music every month. We do something, right? We do a lot of blues. We do jazz. We do lots of different things. But we needed a festival. We needed an annual festival because this is an old place and it needs a lot of maintenance. So we're thinking of a fundraiser, a festival. And James Booker just rolled off the tongue because he's like, what musical genius, you know?
Well, they must be the most famous musician to come out of Bay St. Louis, I would imagine.
Well, I mean,
Is there anyone
is even here?
close?
I think that. Well, I really think that he's the most underrated musical genius there is. I mean, there's not a lot of people who know James Booker. Isn't that crazy? Don't
Well,
you
there
find
are
that?
in New Orleans, there, it's for sure. I don't
Yeah,
know about
but I
outside
mean,
of here.
it's surprising. But anyway, so it's all about Booker. I mean, that's what we're doing. So we'll start with the Bayou Maharaja. We'll be screening the Lily
movie,
Keeper's documentary.
right.
Then the next day we'll have the gospel choir in the morning, and they're going to do a tribute to James Booker. But there are also going to be some people who were in the choir when he was in the choir, and they'll be talking about that. And then we have Ellis Anderson, who's the publisher of Shoe Fly Magazine and French Quarter Journal. She's reading an essay because she used to work with him at the Toulouse Theater. And then we have another reading, and then the best part is this sublime piano tribute by Tom McDermott and Josh Paxton. They're going to do a whole Booker tribute.
Wow.
But we're ending the evening with Alexi Marti and 3 other fabulous musicians, and we're going to have a Cuban dance party. So is that all Booker?
Wow.
No, we're
Not
just
really.
we're going off road. We got some primitive camping. We got a Cuban dance party, Cuban sandwiches. You know, we're just going to have some fun.
So this is you've put this whole thing together. So
Yes.
you're now a
Me
sort
and a
of
bunch of my
promotions
volunteers.
director or something.
You know what? I'm a one woman
Promote.
band. I got the harmonica,
Right.
I got the guitar, I'm hitting the thing, hit the cymbal. Yeah.
So this is a real life-changing.
It's
Thing for you.
It's the most fun in the world. But you know, I don't do this by myself. I have some like incredible people who work with me. I mean, and they are like everybody is everybody who works with me as a volunteers. They are multi-talented Renaissance man, as you said.
So
I
you've
mean,
got everybody whipped into shape up there.
The guy
You've-
who runs my sound just did my kitchen. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right,
He
okay.
does sound and
And he's building the
cabinetry.
musician's cottage because we're going to do some artist retreats for tired musicians so they can come out, have some downtime, and use the hall for rehearsal and stuff like that, and recording if they want. So, no, I mean, it's like this is one man who does all of that, right? And he
So what
also
do you
helped me
think-
cut my cat's claws,
What
too.
really?
Right.
That's a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
So you think this
Scott.
is some sort of a calling that you've had here?
Oh, absolutely. No, it was
Where do you think it came
Grant,
from?
Grant. When I walked through the door to go look at this hall, like a friend sent me this link. This is where you should do your writer's workshop. This blues hall is for sale. And I thought, why would I want a blues hall? I walked through the door, and it was like, whoa.
So what's your explanation for that?
Because the ancestors wanted me there.
Do you think this comes from sort of another dimension or what?
Because it calls up every piece of me. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like everything. You know, I'm calling all my New Orleans friends who are musicians to come play there. You know, I've done events before. You know, I've got my writer's workshop. I also did a lot of work on race and reconciliation and equity here in the city. So I do, you know, we do a Kwanzaa lighting. We hosted the Martin Luther King commemorative banquet. We did selfies with Black Santa. So it's just about, you know, it's and not only that, but I do a happy and gay hour. So it's like, you know,
You got it all going on.
I got it all going on.
And
We
what
do
do they
the
think
best
of you?
drag brunches. They're like
you have
amazing.
drag brunch as well.
Yeah.
And what's the perception of you in Bay St. Louis then, as a white woman who owns this historic African American?
I have to say
Do
that
they
I've
think
been.
you're crazy and weird or what?
I hope so. I hope they do. Yes, Grant.
What is the perception of you? Are you this crazy person who's come from New Orleans?
I'm going to give you one example. I was talking to a friend of mine at the 7-Eleven or whatever, in the Shell station. This guy drives up in a red Mercedes, pulls up and he's getting gas. He goes, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Comes walking over, African-American man. He says, there's some people here who think that you, as a white woman, shouldn't have that hall. But I'm telling you, God sent you. God sent you, and that's who it is. You're the one supposed to be in that hall. I said, thank you. We hugged and kissed, and that's pretty much been the way it's been. Okay?
So there are people who think it's crazy, and there are people.
I don't know
and
those
there are people
people.
on your side. Well,
that, yeah, I mean, like
no
saying another
one's-
word. He was telling me I hadn't heard myself, but certainly, look, this is a place that was built by and for the black community. So, should a white person be owning it? I don't really think so.
well, the right white person.
Right, and so it's like an evolved right person, enlightened. I don't know,
seem to
whatever.
you seem to be the right person.
Well, yeah, for now, but I mean,
If
I'm
not
also,
you, who?
exactly right, and so and that's the thing. So anyway, let's go. I want to hear your music, your
Okay.
beautiful voice again.
You want some like
Yeah, right.
something calm or something rock and roll?
What do you feel like?
What showcases your voice?
We have to get out of here in a minute.
All right,
so
let's
what
do
would
a
be
rock
something
and roll.
good to go out with?
Imagine
Okay.
Imagine this with an 8-piece band. That's what'll be happening tonight at the
Okay.
Maple. Take these headphones off.
All right.
baby's got you, don't you know? Your daddy's gone, your brother left a while ago. Rock-a-bye, mama, lullaby, mama, the demons are gone. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Hush your back, mama, lullaby, mama, let your eyes close. Oh, and when they open, know that the world is beautiful. Yeah, rock-a-bye, mama, I'ma need to hit the road. This life's so long, this life's so long. 944 miles and everything's alright. I'ma drive until the end of the night. Somewhere better, somewhere that you want to be, somewhere better. Where you were when you met me don't get much better. Oh no, got everything you need. I can tell you, guarantee that don't get better than this. Don't cry, mama, baby's got you, don't you know? It's been a year since you first left me on my own. Whoa, yeah, rock-a-bye, my lullaby, mama, the demons are gone. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yeah. Every day, mama, no, mama, I'ma be doing just fine. Yeah, I got a room with a view and a view that everything will turn out right. Rock-a-bye, mama, you're gonna need to send a sign. In this life of mine, in this life of mine. 944 miles and everything's alright. I'ma drive until the end of the night. Alright, somewhere better, somewhere that you want to be, somewhere better. Where you were when you met me don't get much better. Oh no, got everything you need. I can tell you, guarantee. You got my heart tied of a million ways. I can't tell you where it's going. You got my loving that is here to stay, and I can't tell you where I'm going. But if you can't see what I can't see, we'll fall until we hit the ground. Somewhere better, somewhere that you want to be, somewhere better. Oh no, where you were when you met me, it don't get much better. Got everything you need, I can tell you, guarantee. Well, it don't get better than me. Better, 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 yeah, yeah. It don't get better than me. Better, 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 yeah. It don't get much better, baby. Oh, you got everything you need. I can tell you, guarantee that it don't get better than this.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Aaron Benjamin. That's. Is it able to? Can we steal this music anywhere, like off Spotify?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Well, that song you can't. That song hasn't been released yet. We're working
Okay.
on
I recorded that. Can I post that to
Yeah,
my
yeah,
Facebook
go ahead,
page?
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Nice of you to ask.
yeah, so there's one album that's out that was put. Sorry, I got a little closer. There was one album that was put out in September of 2017. It does have "Good Morning New Orleans," the first tune that we played. it's crazy because, I mean, the band has so much original material right now. We're playing 3 hours at the Maple Leaf tonight.
Well,
and,
3 hours.
And
has the band just called your name, Aaron Benjamin?
Yeah, just Aaron Benjamin. And tonight we got a really great opener in Sari Jordan. She's a student at Tulane. She's a singer-songwriter, plays piano, gorgeous voice. And so she's going to be opening the show with a couple tunes, but then also singing some harmonies on the first set of our show because we're going to be playing 2 sets.
Okay. Oh, wow. So you're going to have a big night tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming down
Thanks
here
so
and
much for
doing
having
this
me.
afternoon. That's
Thank you for having me.
It's fantastic.
So anyway, if we've missed you, we can find your music at Aaron Benjamin Music.
Yep, Aaron Benjamin Music on
.com.
Instagram and Facebook. On Spotify, if you just search Aaron Benjamin, and that's how to find us. And we're going to be putting out a lot of stuff in the next year. So.
Hey, before we go any further, I got to tell you about the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage, who made today's show possible, along with Basics on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue, where they sell fine lingerie, and Basics Swim and Gym has a full range of fashion swimsuits and yoga workout clothes with style as well. And if you'd like to be a member of our Patreon family, you can go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as one single solitary dollar, you can be a member of our Happy Hour family and get exclusive stuff that other ordinary people can't get. Maybe we could post that video that you shot.
I certainly will.
That's a good idea. And thank you very much, you guys, for being here. So Booker Fest is this weekend at the 100 Men Hall in Bay St. Louis.
That our website is the 100 Men Hall, THE100
The 100 Men Hall. Okay, we'll put a link to it on our It's New Orleans website page as well. Rachel Dangermond, thank you very much for coming back.
Having me back.
So we'll see you again in 2023.
Yeah, maybe 4 months instead of 4 years.
Okay, we'll go for a little bit quicker. And Aaron Benjamin from AaronBenjaminMusic.com. We'll see you again, I hope, soon. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce you to everybody because it's shockingly.
This is great. Thank you for having me. I've been listening to the show, and I love what y'all are about. So.
Well, great. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for being here. And Kenny Bellau, I guess we'll see you at the Academy Awards in the special section for non-dialogue.
Or on ESPN.
Are you looking for more? Are you looking for more movie roles, or are you in more movies?
Who
or
isn't? Yeah.
What's going on? Are you going to be in something?
So
else?
the same director has another role for me, leading.
It's got dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one has dialogue.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing that. And Bellau, if you're looking for you, is spelled B-E-L-L-A-U.
B-E-L-L-A-U. We're 10 generations in Orleans Parish.
10.
Yeah, 10.
You're 10th generation New Orleans.
My great niece is 10th generation. I'm 8th.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a pretty good note to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here, everybody. That's been Happy Hour for another week. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Monique Pyle is our music producer, and April Scholf also helped out today. Christian Unruh is our music consultant. Thomas Walsh is our technical director, and Asher Griffith is our Facebook live feed director. And if you haven't seen this on Facebook, you can go and watch this entire thing by going to New Orleans Happy Hour Facebook page and see Asher's handiwork. This whole thing has been videoed. Our fact checker and social media connector is Andrew Searock. Our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can sit upright for about 60 minutes while drinking alcohol, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com. You can also check out many other happy hours we've made before this one, as well as other shows we make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker, and our award-winning podcast about death, called Death the Podcast. You can find other great Louisiana podcasts as well at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans, and you can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our New Orleans Happy Hour Facebook page and on Instagram as well. These photos were taken today by Jill LaFleur, and you can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. If you listen to this on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. If you've got a share option on that podcast app, try telling a couple of friends about Happy Hour. This show is recorded live today at Wayfare on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Andrew Duhon is on the road. He'll be back here in a couple of weeks. If you're looking for him, you can find him on andrewduhon.com and see if he's in a town near you somewhere. Meanwhile, for everybody around the table here at Wayfare and back at our office at INO Broadcasting, thanks for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour.